Hey guys, so thank you for clicking on one of my videos. If you're new around here, I post Linux content pretty frequently and I'm still going to be posting Linux content. However, today's video is going to be about OpenBSD and my experience as a Linux user switching over to OpenBSD and using it on my main workstation PC. Now, I've still got Linux on my laptop, but I'm going to be editing this video, uploading it from OpenBSD. And I just do want to go ahead and say, for all of you who actually subscribe and stay up to date and watch all the videos that I post, you'll notice I've been posting every single day, multiple times a day here for at least the past month. However, yesterday I didn't have a video up. That is because I've been trying out different ways of recording and seeing the best type of quality that I can get. So hopefully this right here is really great. I'm recording with actually my phone and using my Blue Yeti microphone. So hopefully the audio is good. Hopefully the video quality is good. I have a DSLR, but it's having constant issues and yeah, I'm just not about it. So OpenBSD. Let's get into it. Why do I even want to switch to OpenBSD? Well, if you look into OpenBSD, their sort of mentality is they take security as the biggest priority for them, as well as proper, concise, well explained documentation. So if you're like me and you're used to using Arch and you've been spoiled by the Arch wiki and how detailed it is and how compiled it is, you'll actually be pleasantly surprised coming over to OpenBSD, as the OpenBSD has an FAQ. You can go to their site, look over it. It answers just about everything that you could possibly need to know about OpenBSD. And also, the one thing about OpenBSD, now see, I'm not really familiar with BSDs at all, but OpenBSD really grabbed my attention just because the project's nature. OpenBSD is made for the developers behind it. They don't really tailor and build in features that they don't need themselves. Now, if you want to, add a feature, if they want to add it in, they'll add it in. And to be honest, it's just a mentality that I really like. The fact that it's actually made for them, and they're not trying to appease everyone and build in these features that most likely not everyone needs, and most likely not everyone's going to need or use ever. So why build it in? I actually do like that. The one thing I will say about OpenBSD, coming from a Linux user, now when I say a Linux user, I do need to specify. When I say that, I mean I'm your average Linux user. I use Linux because it's open source and I just don't like Windows. I use it because it just is better. I like terminal applications. I prefer tiling window managers. So even though I'm into that stuff, I'm not like some system admin, some networking guru. I'm not super advanced. So when it comes to OpenBSD, I feel like, at least the perception that I got from from what I heard about the BSD community is it's for people who like system admins. It's not really for the regular user. And I've got to be honest, that can't be further from the truth. Their documentation is fantastic. Learning to use OpenBSD couldn't be more simple. And honestly, the only problem that I'm having with OpenBSD, which is a known problem with all the BSDs, is there's not really a good way of going about recording your screen and audio. Now, touching on, problems when it comes to OpenBSD, most likely you've heard that, wireless support sucks on BSDs, and just hardware compatibility in general sucks on BSDs. And to be honest, that's not really the case. If you have an NVIDIA graphics card, most likely not going to be able to run. If you have a very odd AMD graphics card, most likely it's not going to work. I have a 5700 XTM in my computer, and even though that is a pretty recent, generation from AMD, it works fine, no problem. Using Compton, getting all my, GIMP, all that stuff, Kden Live, working in it, it's fine. No problem. And I did talk there, but I'll touch on it again. But a lot of the programs that you're used to on Linux are actually ported over and work just fine on OpenBSD. But when it comes to hardware support, I specifically want to talk about Wi-Fi drivers and audio devices and stuff like that, as well as webcams. Wireless drivers, I love the way OpenBSD implements their Wi-Fi support. If there are some devices that provide free and open and auditable firmware blobs. So devices, some will just work, but most people out there are using Intel devices. Intel devices, you will need a proprietary firmware blob for, and so those firmware drivers for those devices, you will download afterwards, after you set up and install your OpenBSD system. And I've got to be honest, you can do it from a file, or you can do it from just online. And by file I mean you can literally download the file when you're making your OpenBSD flash drive and just plop it on a flash drive and load it off of there. I believe. Now, I'm pretty positive about this, but I'm not sure. I believe you just use FW update, and then you either give it the file name or the URL. I can't remember exactly how it worked, but it was very simple and straightforward. And I like that. I like their approach to it, because their approach is really what I think most Linux distros should be doing. Instead of you get your free and open source software, and only the free and open source software is managed and distributed in the software. If you need to get your other stuff, you have to download it yourself. And you don't get some weird hacky version of the software, some unsupported version that has these proprietary firmware blobs built into them. So I like their approach to it. And so Wi-Fi is no problem. I didn't have any issue on it, and I have I wouldn't say mainstream, but pretty normal setup. So I believe my wireless card is like an Intel 9820 or something like that. So most likely you're gonna have no issues with Wi-Fi on OpenBSD, as well as I have a Logitech C920 and an Aukey webcam. I haven't checked the Aukey one, but the Logitech works just fine, and because most people out there have Logitech webcams, primo. My Blue Yeti microphone shows up, works well. I'll get to that in a second. It shows up, it's detected, and it technically, for all intents and purposes, works well. I just haven't exactly learned how to use the audio system yet. But as well as the internal audio device that I use to output audio to my headphones, was detected, set up, worked fine right out of the box immediately. As soon as I got Xorg installed, got Qt Browser installed, which is my browser of choice, I loaded up a YouTube video and it played just fine. So yeah, no problem with audio really inside of OpenBSD. Just most things out of the box just work. And I'm very surprised at it. I thought OpenBSDs were known for the exact opposite, so that's why I hadn't really checked them out. Very glad I did. But here's the one thing that I'll say that I'm having, or the two things that I'm having issues with in OpenBSD. Inside of OpenBSD right now, when I try to record my screen using FFmpeg, or there's another little program, it uses FFmpeg, but anyway, it's called Faux Stream or Fox Stream. I don't know how you're supposed to say it, but anyway, whenever I run those, I get this X11 grab error that says could not get shared memory buffer. So if you're someone who's familiar with OpenBSD and you know what I'm talking about and you can offer some help, I would be very, very happy to hear from you in the comments as I'm struggling to figure out what's going on myself. So if you can provide any help, be very grateful. As well as, so when it comes to the audio system in OpenBSD, I really like it because you're not dealing with Pulse Audio, ALSA, any of that. Their audio system's really well set up. Your internal card is automatically set to a device called SND/0, and then your USB devices automatically get set to the second one, which is SND/1. And so when I check my devices, I believe the command's called mixer CTL, but when I run that command, I see my internal devices set up on SND/0, and then my USB mic, there's a device that shows up on SND/1, so that should be the USB mic as it's detected, and that's where it should be sent to, and there's no other audio devices in the system. So bada bing, bada boom. The problem is I cannot record using AuCat and specify the microphone device and record without having it mess up the internal card where I no longer get output for some reason. So yeah, if any of you know what's going on there or could help me, that would be great as well. But in the vein of you helping me and me helping you, I'm going to be doing a live stream tomorrow of me installing OpenBSD and going through and getting an entire working setup, going with Xorg and my window manager of choice right now is Spectre WM. I was using DWM, got tired of the patching, and Qtile, my other window manager of choice, is not over on OpenBSD. So I checked out Spectre WM, which I've been meaning to check out for quite a while, and it's absolutely fantastic. I'll be doing a separate video on that. Oh, hey buddy. My puppy wants to come over and lay down next to me, but Spectre WM is fantastic. It's made, now I'm going off on a tangent, so hopefully this doesn't throw you off, but I'll make it really short. Spectre WM is made sort of with the mindset of DWM, just without the arbitrary code limit, and also with the fantastic Xmonad defaults. So it's really like a best of both worlds, like when it comes to Xmonad and DWM, because I've always wanted to like Xmonad, but the fact that it's using Haskell, I just can't stand it. I don't like Haskell. I have no reason to use Haskell, and also like DWM, I'm tired of freaking patching everything. So Spectre WM has been great, but yeah. The last thing I wanted to wrap up on is the software that I use. Almost everything is on OpenBSD. Instead of using Kdenlive here recently, buddy's hitting the tripod. Sorry about that. But here recently, I've been using Olive on my Linux laptop. However, Olive has not been ported over to OpenBSD, so I'm using Kdenlive, and Kdenlive, I want to say works fine. However, I was having some rendering issues, but to be honest, I have a feeling now that I've gone back and looked at that file, the file, I believe, was corrupted in the first place, so I don't think it was Kdenlive's fault, but it's a whole nother thing. We can get more into it later when I know for sure whether or not Kdenlive is having any issues on OpenBSD. But in all fairness, I don't believe it was Kdenlive's fault. Anyway, just about everything I use on there, GIMP. The only things that are different that I'm using is Spectre WM, and that's not because a lack of tiling window managers being over there. It's just Qtile wasn't over there, and that's my backup to DWM. And the only reason I'm tired of DWM is because even though I've got it on my laptop the way I want it, since I don't plan on changing it at all, I haven't switched from using DWM over on my laptop. But I'm tired of patching it. Don't want to go through it anymore. So instead of just downloading my config and doing that, I decided to give Spectre WM a check. And XTerm. XTerm, I always have it installed as a backup terminal emulator, But over on OpenBSD, stuff like Alacrity, Termite, the normal type of terminal emulators that I use just aren't over there. And I prefer XTerm to URXVT just because, I mean, I'm going to keep XTerm installed, and URXVT just to me doesn't really provide a whole bunch more value than XTerm. I can get XTerm looking good, and I don't really do any advanced stuff that I want some like cool Unicode or anything like features inside of the terminal. I'm just not that dude. So it works fine for me. So yeah. If this interests you, if you like OpenBSD, please let me know down in the comments below. If this perhaps piqued your interest and you're excited to see more about it, definitely click the like button to make sure YouTube knows you liked it, as well as hit that subscribe button, because I'll be doing that live stream of installing OpenBSD, just because I know there is a serious lack of not only OpenBSD or BSD content in general, but OpenBSD, as well as just the install guides that are out there are just not good. And even though I will say you don't really need an install guide for OpenBSD, it is very simple and straightforward. But I know if you're like me, I like to watch a video of something. I like to have someone explain it for me, and then me go off and do it myself. So if you're the same, I'd love to be able to provide that content for you. So definitely hit that subscribe button. You get to see it. And if you want to support me and the content I make here, help me keep the lights on, go over, check me out over on LBRY and Odyssey. It's a fantastic platform. Supports, your privacy, supports, you actually not being sold as a product. So it's awesome. You also get rewarded in LBC, the cryptocurrency the platform's based off of, and you can give it to your favorite content creators. And I won't speak for everyone, but at least for me, it's very appreciated. Thank you very much. And I will see you in the next video. Peace.